do you feel like a true picture of your passing game coming out of the spring when you had so many guys on the receiving end of it, not being able to participate, et cetera, and you had a lot of young guys coming up? And just, I guess, what's your picture of y'all's passing game as you leave spring, Tim?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was we created depth at the receiver position. I was really pleased with the way those guys played and got better through the course of spring. You could wear guys out as the tempo of the offense, throwing the football, and the longevity of the seasons anymore if you don't have any depth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great learning experience for the young players to almost go back to ground zero and start all over again. And I think it really helped our quarterbacks. I think it really helped our receivers and have a better understanding of where everyone needs to be, when they need to be there, and why they need to be there.
You got to see the receivers as much as anybody. Give me one guy that you think really, in your mind, made a move.
I thought a lot of guys. I
Yeah.
thought Paris Campbell. I thought Terry McLaurin. I thought James Clark. I mean, those guys, Austin Mack, did some really good things. I mean, those are just a few names that kind of jump out at you right away. KJ Hill, I mean, with one arm, had a really good spring. Torrance did some nice things. So you're talking about all those guys and not mentioning Noah and Curtis and Dontre and, Noah and all those guys. So
Corey Smith.
Corey Smith. So it's pretty exciting to know that you got a pretty good group and the competition is really going to be fierce in the fall.
Last year you guys had, and it's kind of the same this year, but quite a few guys in that receiver room were not originally receivers when they got here.
Right.
Does that have any effect whatsoever on the development of a passing game? Does it take a year or two for guys to get, and how so?
Yeah, well, just like I said, you have great athletes, but there's so many things they have to learn, the tricks of their trade, to become really good. And the passing game is based on spacing and timing. And if you have guys and they're not sure, or they're not at the right depth or too width, or the quarterback, has to move around a little bit or whatever, and even there, changing quarterbacks a little bit sometimes that create the timing issues. So, maybe there was some of that last year. But I think most of that's been put to bed. I've been really, really excited and pleased with what I've seen.
What's the best thing you saw out of JT Barrett this spring as it finally wrapped up?
The best thing about JT, and everyone always knows, I mean, the way he approaches every practice and the way he works, he's on a mission. He practiced like he was on a mission. He played extremely confident, fast. Coach used the word twitched up. I mean, he was very, even in the spring game. I know he had a couple of, faux pas and a couple of interceptions and balls deflected, but when he was back there throwing it, he threw the ball really well. His ball accuracy and placement was excellent.
Was there one area of his game that maybe came along more this spring than others, or was it sort of all-around improvement for JT?
Just all around, working on him, getting depth, staying depth in the pocket. He needs to continue to develop that part of his game. Timing, throwing the ball on time sometimes. But for the most part, he was pretty good.
It was the first time that he wasn't, he's been the guy for the duration of the spring. Maybe doesn't have the pressure of having to earn that spot. Did you see any difference in him? Was he working the same, not feeling pressure, or does he put it on himself anyway?
I think last year he put a lot of pressure on himself to be perfect. That was one of the things when he came back. He had the injury, trying to come back from the injury, trying to be perfect, trying to live up to where he had left off. Well, he hadn't played football in a long time, 8 months or whatever it was, 6 months, and all of a sudden he was trying to play like he was when he got hurt. That didn't happen, so he put a lot of pressure on him. I think here it was just more individualized. Every day, this is what I got to do to be really good, and so every snap he took, every rep that he did, every drill that he did, he had that mindset. That's what impressed me the most when you asked me that question earlier about him, was that he just, this is what I'm going to do to get really good, because he's on a mission.
Coach, when we talked to Joe on Saturday, he said that you pulled him aside and said, hey, don't worry. I think his first series was like incompletion, sack, or something like that. And he said, you just said, hey, put that behind you and go forward. And being a coach's son and the kind of kid he is, he took that to heart, and obviously he started playing well after that.
Yeah, right. And some of that wasn't his fault. And The one thing I didn't want Joe to do is put pressure on himself to have to go out there and again use the term be perfect. As a quarterback, it's hard to do that. You have to play fast. You have to trust your eyes. You got to get the ball out and distribute it to people, and that's what he needed to do. And we helped settle him down a little bit, and then on our sideline there, and even in what I was calling a little bit to give him a chance to have some success, and he did. And he did a great job. He played pretty much like he's been playing all spring, and continually getting better and better and better every day.
As you guys move into the summer workouts and things like with that, you know, JT is the guy. That's pretty much clear. But what do you kind of give them to work on each individually, or is it just kind of like a set thing that it's on them now to really up their game and do what they need to do?
They all have individualized off-season plans, and then there's also group plans. So, you know, for example, our group has to continue to throw. So they have to make sure we're getting the receivers and we're going through. That's on them. Coaches aren't allowed to be involved in that stuff, so that's on the receiving and the quarterback group to be able to do that. As far as each individual guy, there's individual things they need to work out. I discuss with them. I want you to improve on pick 3 things. Here's the 3 things. By the end of summer, you got to be really good at.
How much